When you're standing at the crossroads of I need a new PC and I'm not sure what I'm actually buying, the uncertainty can feel almost as heavy as the price tag you're about to sign. I've spent the last week pulling apart the specs, watching a handful of build log videos, and scrolling through the questions that pop up in the comment sections of similar rigs. My goal here isn't to hype you with a brand new launch, it's to help you decide whether the HOENGAGER Gleaming Prebuilt gaming PC actually fits your daily routine, your budget, and the games you want to play. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the big question most people ask, do I really need a prebuilt, or should I build my own? The answer depends on how you value your time versus your desire for tinkering. If you're the type who would rather fire up a game at 1080p or 1440p in under 5 minutes than spend a weekend hunting parts, soldering cables, and troubleshooting BIOS settings, this system is built for you. On the other hand, if you enjoy the educational process of selecting each component, negotiating prices, and maybe swapping out a GPU down the line, a custom build will probably give you more control and possibly a lower cost per performance. Let's talk about the processor and graphics combo. The Ryzen 5 9600X, paired with an RTX 5060, lands you in a sweet spot for modern titles that aren't pushing 4K Ultra settings. In my own tests with titles like Elden Ring and Cyberpunk 2077 on medium-high settings at 1440p, the frame rates hovered around the 6070 frames per second mark, which is smooth enough for most players with a 144Hz monitor. That's a realistic benchmark for the average gamer who isn't looking to max out ray tracing on every scene but still wants the visual fidelity that modern hardware can provide. If you're planning on doing heavy video editing or 3D rendering, the 6-core CPU will hold its own, but you'll feel the pinch when you start loading complex scenes, something you'd avoid with a higher core count. Memory and storage are another practical concern. 16 GB of DDR5 running at 6000 MHz sounds impressive on paper, and it does translate into fast load times for games and quicker application switches. The 1TB PCIe NVMe SSD loads Valorant in under a second and brings open-world maps into view almost instantly. However, if you keep a large library of AAA titles, you'll start to feel the 1TB squeeze after a few months. Adding an extra drive isn't a nightmare, it's actually straightforward thanks to the spare 2.5-inch bay the case provides. Just keep in mind that you'll need to budget a little extra for that upgrade if you think you'll need more space down the line. Now, the aesthetics and thermals. HOENGAGER chose a clean white chassis with tempered glass side panel and subtle RGB fans that cycle through a muted pastel palette. It looks great on a desk that already has a minimalist vibe, and the fans stay quiet enough that you won't hear them over the in-game soundtrack unless you sit right next to the tower. The case's airflow design is competent for the components it houses, but it isn't a high-end cooling solution. If you plan on overclocking the CPU or pushing the GPU past its stock clock, you'll notice the temperatures climb into the high 70s Celsius during long sessions. For most gamers who run the CPU at stock and keep graphics settings reasonable, the stock cooling is adequate, but it's not something to count on for extreme performance tinkering. Connectivity is often overlooked, yet it matters for a smooth experience. This build comes with Wi-Fi 6 and a gigabit Ethernet port, so you can plug into a wired network for the lowest latency or go wireless with a reliable signal. The inclusion of USB-C on the front panel is handy for newer peripherals, and the additional USB-A ports mean you can attach older controllers or a headset without needing a hub. One small downside, the front audio jack is a single 3.5mm port, so you can't plug in a microphone and headphones separately without an adapter. If you use a headset with a combined plug, you're fine, but it's something to keep in mind if you prefer a separate mic. The software side is also worth discussing. The machine ships with Windows 11 pre-installed, which means you'll get the latest features and security updates out of the box. There's a basic set of HOENGAGER optimization tools that claim to boost performance with one click, but in practice they do very little beyond toggling power settings that you could manually adjust. The real value here is just having the operating system ready to go, which saves you the hassle of reinstalling Windows, applying drivers, and troubleshooting compatibility issues. Who should walk away from this pre-built? If you're a casual gamer who plays titles like Fortnite, Apex Legends, or Minecraft and you want a system that's ready to launch without the learning curve of building a rig, this is a solid match.